So, welcome to Florence with the short academic delay. Welcome to the first edition of the Integrated Photovoltaics Conference. I'm Giulio Poggeroni from ETA Florence, and on behalf of the company who has organized this conference, we thank you for your participation, to your enthusiasm. We have been able to put together this conference thanks to the Seamless PV project, which is of course, inevitable technical problems. Okay. Yeah, so I was saying, we have been able to put together this initiative thanks to the Seamless PV project that back in the days when it was at the proposal stage envisaged the organization of this initiative focusing on the different integration of PV in the human-built environment. The ambition is to begin with this first conference, which is a trial. We hope you will enjoy it. And the ambition is to keep it growing and replicating in the next years, making it one of the reference points for the integrated PV community. We have a very dense agenda. You have seen before. You have the printed agenda with you. We have three big sessions in the morning. Beside from this intro, we have the BIPV section. We will have a coffee break. We will have a keynote speech from the MCA Architect Studio, and then we will have the industry session. The Sala Poccetti, which is the room next to us, will host two parallel sessions in Italian that will run from 11 until 3 p.m. Then in the afternoon, after the lunch break, we will have the agrivoltaics session, followed by the longer session where we will present the projects, the realization that submitted a proposal, an abstract to the call for project call that we initiated back in July. We would like to thank our sponsor, the German company Autark, who will also intervene during the industry session this morning, and you can visit their very nice booth at in the entrance hall. Then, of course, some other special thanks to the organization that gave us patronage, INU, the Istituto Nazionale di Urbanistica, so the Italian National Urbanistic Institute, the Rete IFV, Italian Photovoltaic Network for Research, SITDA, the Italian Society for Architectural and Architectural Technology, the University of Florence, and then IAP, the Italian Association of Landscape Architects, and then our media partners, PV Magazine Group and Infobuild Energia. Then a shout out to the Massa IPV project, is one of our sister projects that will also is also present today, and they have a nice survey on the barriers to integrated PV that you can find here at this QR code, but since I will soon skip the slide, I encourage you to find the QR code in the entrance hall at the Seamless PV desk, where there are also other brochures and leaflets. Now it's time to mention the EU Solar Buildings platform, which is another creator of Seamless PV project. This is a platform dedicated entirely to the integration of photovoltaics into buildings, so BIPV. And the platform was, we have been working on the platform in the past month. Today is the day where we want to officially launch it. If you will stay with us until the end of the day, you will find more information on the platform in the closing session. But to sum it up, anybody can sign to the platform, upload their BIPV realizations, and connect with other people and companies operating in the same field. You can see, you can see here some of the uploads that so far have been made by some partners of Seamless PV, but also other companies, including Autark and others that uploaded their realization. So I encourage you to have a look on this and stay with us until the end of the conference when we will show some more details on this. Now I bring you the salute of the Deputy Mayor of Florence, who was supposed to come but unfortunately didn't make it. And now it's enough from my side. I will hand over the stage to my colleague Pierluigi Bonomo from SUPSI, who was another fundamental partner of this initiative. And then we will hear from Massimo Mazzer about Rete IFV. Sorry, I switched the wrong slide. And then later we will hear from Professor Bologna from SITA. Pier?
Thank you, Giulio, and very good morning, everyone, also from my side. I'm Pierluigi Bonomo. I work as a senior researcher for SUPSI, which is the University of Applied Sciences in southern Switzerland. And I also want to thank all the participants and the speakers and the moderators for joining us. I want to say that it's really a great pleasure for us in this first edition of the conference, having part of the European ecosystem on integrated PV in this room today. And yeah, in my experience, I've been working mainly on building integrated photovoltaics, and I can say, as most of you already know, that this is a journey began, I would say, 20 years ago. But with a very clear message that we want to bring today at this event, that technology and architecture must go hand on hand. And today I'm really happy we have a privilege of being in this city, in the cradle of the Renaissance of art and history. And for sure this setting inspires all of us for excellence and looking at this lesson of the past. But I want just to give a brief message today, and I think that we should try to move a little bit beyond the simplistic view, where we often see technology and the history as opposites. I think that art and history, like Florence, teach us that we should leverage on the power of innovation, and teach us also that we can transform the challenges of our time in architecture and in beauty. And I think this is the challenge of today. On the last 15 years, we have made solar PV technology reliable and ready as a construction component for buildings, for infrastructures, thanks to a strong partnership between research and innovation, industry, and players of the real sector. And Europe today leads globally this sector. We have more than 100 products certified to be applied in the built environment. And this is a unique leadership worldwide today. So I think that today our mission, our focus should be shifted no longer in identifying barriers and obstacles. We spent a long time on it, but instead we should concentrate and focus on the tools and on the challenges to solve these barriers and to bring to the market solar technology as part of our cities and of our built environment. So my remark is that now, today, it's time to act, and I also believe that technology is there. It's not only the main challenge, but main priorities today are the knowledge and the commitment of the key players of the sector. If I could just conclude summarizing 3 main priorities, in my opinion, of the sector, I think that we have 3 main challenges. First one is to scaling up the market. So we need to shift from pilot applications, from flagships buildings to our cities. And I guess that no one wants to see in the future cities full colored of blue or black panels. So this is what building integrated photovoltaics is, and what integrated application can shift from technology to architecture and to cities. The second challenge I see is for sure to strengthening industry competitiveness. This is a unique challenge for Europe. We have still leadership on the sector, and we should really now find the synergies between solar industry and construction sector. This is something, in my opinion, still missing, so we need really to strive for this synergy and collaboration. The last, but not the least, in my opinion, is really the challenge of investing in education. This is maybe the huge missing point today, both for young generations and for professionals. So this is the challenge to spread awareness and knowledge on potentials of solar in our built environment. I just want to conclude with this message, and thank you all for joining us and for being part of this day, and yeah, I wish you all a very productive conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Wait, Massimo. Great. The Deputy Mayor managed to make it, so I invite Paola Galgani, who is the Deputy Mayor of Florence, and she will give a short address in Italian, and then we will move on to the other speakers. Paola, the floor is yours.
Sì, buongiorno, grazie per avermi invitato a portare questo breve saluto, e mi scuso con la platea perché sto parlando in italiano anziché in inglese, ma diciamo non ero, riesco a capirlo, ma faccio un po' fatica, diciamo, a fare il saluto in lingua inglese, quindi cerco di essere brevissima solo per dire due cose: che questa conferenza per la città di Firenze è molto importante perché, a proposito delle sfide e degli obiettivi e di come si tiene insieme l'investimento sulle energie rinnovabili, in questo caso sul fotovoltaico, con la sfida di una città come Firenze, ad esempio, che è una città che dal punto di vista artistico-architettonico ha alcune caratteristiche che devono essere preservate. E quindi la sfida del rapporto, no, fra la tecnologia, l'industria e dall'altra parte l'architettura e l'arte, penso che sia per Firenze sicuramente la sfida, perché altrimenti questa scelta, questo obiettivo di investire, no, sulle rinnovabili, sull'autoproduzione di energia, che serve, no, per la sfida ambientale e anche per diciamo, tutelare non solo l'ambiente ma anche una dimensione sociale di questa sfida, per una città come Firenze rischia di essere una sfida improba, e quindi abbiamo bisogno delle intelligenze e delle competenze che servono per provare anche a Firenze a investire sul fotovoltaico con quell'obiettivo. Però quindi mi fermo qui perché davvero, insomma, penso che questa giornata serva soprattutto, servirà a tutti voi, ma serve anche agli amministratori per capire come fare a raggiungere questo obiettivo. Quindi grazie e buon lavoro a tutte e a tutti voi.
Grazie, thank you. Now, Massimo, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Eta Florence, for inviting us to this very important conference. And I'm here. I have the honor to represent the National Network of Photovoltaics for Research and Innovation. What is it? It's not yet another legal entity. It's a community including all the major stakeholders of the photovoltaic sectors of this country, starting from industries, large industries like 3Sun and Futura Sun, for instance, and all the industrial players along the value chain, all the major research organizations like ENEA, CNR, RIC, a lot of Italian universities, also local and national institutions. And our mission is one and very clear: bring back to Europe and to Italy in particular, PV manufacturing and somehow relaunch this sector by operating on the research and innovation plane. And this is something we have been pursuing since 2017. The network is led by a group of people who have some sort of a role in European organizations like the European Research Alliance for Energy, ERA, the European Technology Platform for Photovoltaics, the SET plan in particular. We actually come out of an initiative, the SET plan, and we took very seriously the motto of the SET plan, make Europe #1 in renewables. And this is what we have been doing since we started our activities. And we have been operating on the research and innovation initiatives by trying to create initiatives which are essentially an effort by the community to focus on this on our mission. The two main activities we have been focusing on are the utility PV sector and also the IPV, which is something we have been pursuing since the very beginning. And just to give you an example of some important results we have done, we have already achieved. On the education side, the Italian PV PhD course is one of the output of our network. It's very important. All the industries and are very much involved in this action. And on the other hand, we have been collaborating in order to promote and pursue national strategic projects on research and innovation to achieve the goals of the we were discussing before. So the important thing about this conference, in our opinion, is that IPV is projected to be a major part of the PV sector, the PV market, according, for instance, to Solar Power Europe for the next few years. So, and it's an opportunity for Europe and Italy in particular to play a role from the industrial point of view. This is a part of the market which is not driven only by large volumes. We are talking about integrating PV to the building sectors. So rather than large volumes, we are talking about bespoke solutions, solutions which are very much achievable by essentially going forward towards the route of research and innovation. By saying this, I just wish you a pleasant and very productive conference, and I hope to see you all at our third conference of the Italian PV Network for Research and Innovations, which will be in May, next May, 27th and 28th of May in Naples. So see you there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Massimo. Now, I leave the floor to Professor Bologna from SITA.
Good morning, all participants to this integrated photovoltaic conference. I'm representing the Italian Society of Architectural Technology, which has given the patronage to this event, and I welcome all speakers and audience on behalf of our president, Professor Mario Lo Sasso, which is not possible for him to stay here with us for other commitment. The Italian Society of Architectural Technology is a third sector organization founded in 2007 to create a broad and inclusive network of university teachers, researchers, and experts in the field of architectural technology and environmental design, whose aim is to linking internationally university, professions and institutions, and implementing high-profile research policies, promoting a multidisciplinary, a transdisciplinary approach to architectural technology and environmental design, and cooperating with the national system in education and training. According to our mission, we are very pleased to grant our patronage to this event that will explore the relationship between the technical performance of photovoltaic and the architectural and environmental implications. If many years after the advent of photovoltaics, we are still talking about this topic, it means that full awareness of the integration of systems has not been yet achieved, and that a paradigm shift in architectural and environmental design is needed. So today, discussion between architectural and urban designers and planners, producers, technicians, and the companies, and generally speaking, to all stakeholders, within the framework of international strategy policies, can contribute to the advancement of the operational culture in the perspective of the energy transition. So I thank you very much for your participation, and I wish you a very pleasant conference today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So enough from the introduction session. I will invite the moderator and the speakers of the next session, the session on BIPV, to come to the stage. And once again, I thank our speakers of the intro session. Yes, if the speakers can join us, so Claire, Jean-Didier, Lorenzo, and Stéphane. Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much, Giulio. Thanks everyone who worked to organize this conference here in beautiful Florence and in this wonderful auditorium that we have inherited. My name is Spiros Mathiodakis. I am a senior policy officer with EBC, the European Builders Confederation. And let me tell you a couple of words about my organization before we begin. So EBC is an umbrella organization representing national associations of crafts, micro, small and medium-sized enterprises of the construction sector at the EU level, and we are based in Brussels. At the national level, EBC members cover crafts ranging from general contractors, bricklayers, to specialized crafts such as carpenters, joiners, plumbers, roofers, HVAC installers, electricians, renewable energy installers, to finishing crafts such as plasters, tile fix painters, and so on. So SMEs, which we present, are pivotal for the construction sector, which is populated by more than 94% of micro companies, operating mostly at the local level. And so, in support of the spirit of the European Green Deal and of the renovation wave, EBC and its construction SMEs have in the past years consistently supported key European initiatives to further roll out the inclusion of renewable energy technologies in the built environment. we have supported the contribution of Europe's construction sector to the decarbonization goals of the EU, particularly in the context of the adoption of the renovation wave and the REPowerEU strategy. The subsequent adoption of the recast Energy Performance of Buildings Directive now includes a new Article 10, mandating the integration of solar energy into new and renovated buildings. As EBC, we offered our support to this ambitious solar mandate, which comprises all solar technologies, including integrated photovoltaics. And so, aligned with this ambition, EBC is also a partner of the Horizon project in Greece, a sister project to Seamless PV hosting us here today, which has a goal to promote the broader adoption of integrated photovoltaic systems by introducing innovation in module and system design, encapsulation and coating, as well as operating guidelines. And so in this vein, today's session will focus on the intersection between the solar sector and the construction sector and their critical role in this transition, exploring the potential of building integrated photovoltaics as a key component of solar architecture in new and existing buildings. BIPV represents a significant opportunity to enhance the cost-effectiveness of building projects, particularly when integrated with building renovations, and so solar as a building material hides untapped potential, which could bring significant novelties and versatile solutions for small construction companies and building owners. As the EU drives towards the implementation of initiatives like the Renovation Wave, but also the Net Zero Industry Act, and the new European Bauhaus, there is a key opportunity to scale up BIPV development, establish a resilient PV value chain based in Europe, and train new professionals to meet the interdisciplinarity skills demands of solar buildings. Buildings that generate energy through their building envelope could lead to a new era in construction concepts and processes. So without waiting further, we will now proceed. And our opening session will hopefully, if you can join us from Brussels online, will include a keynote presentation by the European Commission, which will be followed by a panel discussion and the distinguished experts which are already here sitting with us to bring key insights on the intersection between building and solar. Thank you. And on this note, we will connect with Mr. Pau Garcia Audi from the European Commission's Director General for Energy. I hope we can see him soon on the screen. So Mr. Garcia Audi is a policy officer with DG Ener B3, and this is the unit in DG Ener which is in charge of the energy performance of buildings, directive, energy labeling and eco-design. And within the future team, within the building team, he is the team leader on funding, national renovation policies, and international cooperation. He also covers the topics of energy performance certificates and the calculation methodology. So without further ado, I hope we can connect in a moment and hear from Mr. Garcia Audi. Yes, please, the floor is yours. 1 second, because we don't have the audio. Excuse me. It will come.
Okay.
All right. You can give it a go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yes, please.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you very much, Spiros, and thank you very much for the invitations to be here today. First of all, I would like to apologize on behalf of my head of unit, Stefan Moser, because he was initially invited, but he couldn't make it because these days with the new commission we have plenty of meetings and last-minute arrangements to be done. But again, thank you very much for inviting us to be here today and share this session with you. So, without further ado, moving on to the future of the EU building stock and the role of integrated photovoltaic panels. We have a clear challenge towards 2050 which is to decarbonize our building stock. And we have another challenge for 2030, which is to be ready for a 55% carbon emission reduction. For that, we have a number of measures in the recast EPBD and in the renovation wave, and all of them are going to be quite challenged because the building stock, as you know, is massive and it's quite complex to work on it at times. Just a few key aspects of the EPBD that I think are relevant for you. The first one is, of course, zero emission buildings. Those ones are going to be those buildings that are going to be mandatory from 2030 and combine very high energy efficiency with high levels of renewable energy integrations. And there we think that PV in general, and including integrated photovoltaics, have a huge role to play. These zero-emission buildings, they also set the standard for what's going to be the building stock in 2050. So they are very important as a reference point and leading the way on how the building stock is going to move forward. Because we all know that one of the leaders in the market is the new building sector. They are the ones that usually test the new products and develop the standard practice. In addition to zero-emission buildings, we also have the progressive improvement of the existing building stock, especially targeting what we call worst-performing buildings. And there, again, we think that renewable energies and integrated photovoltaics in particular may have an important role to play. So, for example, for non-residential buildings, solar technologies, including integrated photovoltaics, could be used to improve the energy performance of non-residential buildings and help them comply with the requirements. And when it comes to the residential sector, where there are no direct obligations on buildings, PV panels and integrated photovoltaics, they can still play a huge role to play. Support the deployment of these technologies will help member states achieve their objectives. And then we move on to the article that Spiros just mentioned, which is the article on solar energy in buildings. And here there are a number of measures affecting new buildings. So every new buildings will have to have some sort of solar installation, but it would also affect the retrofit of non-residential and public buildings under a number of conditions, like, for example, when there is a major renovation, when the roofs are being renovated, or, for example, if the building is undergoing some sort of work that requires a permit. Overall, I've been trying to mention every single time PV is an integrated photovoltaic because the EPBD does not distinguish between one or the other. Frankly speaking and openly speaking, we don't care if it's a PV panel installed on the roof or it's a PV panel integrated on the facade. Both are perfectly fine solutions for us that improve the energy performance of the buildings. We make no differentiation with them in terms of the obligations. Even on the obligations for Article 10, for Solar 10, for example, we don't distinguish when we talk about solar optimization. It doesn't need to be just solar optimization of the roof. It can also be solar optimization of the facade. Perhaps the only distinction we make between roofs and not roofs is when it comes to car parks, because there we have to define the parks that are being affected, and those ones are only the ones that have roofs. But still, that I would think it's the only distinction. This equaling of PVs on the rooftop or integrated photovoltaics, it also extends, I think, to finance. From 2021 to 2030, we have from the European Union released, or we are going to release, about 100 billion euros in investment on energy measures in buildings. That's a very substantial amount, and in addition to that, we also have to look at the measures coming from the private sector, so private investments. And there are things like, for example, the EU Green Taxonomy, which will also have a huge role to play in the coming years. In all of those measures, in all of these finance measures from the EU, again, we make no distinction, we don't separate between rooftops and integrated PV panels. Both solutions are perfectly acceptable for us, and we think that both of them have a huge role to play, particularly in dense urban environments where rooftop space is always limited. integrated photovoltaic systems can have a huge role to play to make sure that the building complies with the necessary requirements. And the last point that I wanted to mention, which actually has already been mentioned, is the fact of the economy. The construction sector, as we all know, it's mostly composed of micro SMEs. It brings a lot of added value to the local economy because of this SME component. But as part of the greater benefits of the larger benefits of the PVD, we think also that bringing back the manufacturing of not just PV but any kind of energy component in a building is one of the huge advantages that we have. In particular, for example, for the role of integrated PV, this would allow us to much better tailor the components to the individual buildings and make sure that the construction process is much faster. With all of this, I can only say that from the European Commission, we support your work. We are very eager to know what you have to say about this. Just to comment, we are going to develop a number of guidance documents for the transposition and implementation of the EPBD, and for that, we very much welcome the input of stakeholders. We've organized sessions to discuss multiple articles, and we will share the documents as we draft them and as we discuss them with member states. So we look very much forward to any input you can have on the EPBD guidance or on any other initiatives coming from the EU. Thank you very much, and have a nice day.
Thank you very much. Thank you for this very interesting opening intervention. We will now move on with the first of our speakers, Lorenzo De Simone, who works as a policy officer in the Joint Research Center of the European Commission, and he is part of the team that coordinates and develops the new European Bauhaus. So in the new European Bauhaus unit, he contributes to projects related to the transformation of the built environment, as well as to the strengthening of the cultural and international dimensions of the initiative. Thank you for being here with us today. And I will proceed maybe with asking your first question. So, integrating solar, you can give a first intervention and then we will go with the question, sorry.
All right, thanks. Thanks a lot for inviting me today, also on behalf of the European Bauhaus. For the ones of you that are not familiar with the NEB, I will just spend 1 minute to tell you more about it. The NEB was launched about 4 years ago as an initiative of the European Commission with the idea to bring the targets of the Green Deal closer to the European citizens, acting on our living spaces and supporting projects that are sustainable, that are beautiful and inclusive. Just after 4 years, the initiative has taken a lot of drive. We have mobilized more than 400 million in this period, supported more than 500 projects all over Europe, and gathered a community of more than 1,400 people. At the beginning, the NEB was more about everything, really, so architecture, fashion, culture, art, etc. But in the last years, we have a more narrow focus on the built environment, and that's probably why we are here today. So thanks a lot again, looking forward to discuss. Thanks.
Thank you very much for these opening thoughts. And we will move on with our second speaker, Claire Morin. Claire is a junior project officer at Solar Power Europe, working on policy and communication topics of EU-funded projects focused on integrated photovoltaics and PV sustainability. She studied EU affairs and policy at KU Leuven and the College of Europe in Bruges, Belgium. Thank you, Claire.
Thank you, Spiros. Yeah. I'm very happy to be here on behalf of Solar Power Europe. Oh, thank you. So for those who don't know us, we are the European Association for the Photovoltaic Industry based in Brussels. And we represent the whole solar value chain with more than 320 members. So our goal is really to make PV the main source of electricity in Europe. And as Spiros mentioned, we're also involved in research and innovation project, and notably INCREASE, which is about the uptake of integrated PV. So very happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Claire. And we move on with Mr. Stefan can you hear me? No? Now? Okay. We move on with Mr. Stéphane Garzon, who is Managing Director of SunStyle International since 2022, specializes in renewable energy innovation, leading the design and commercialization of advanced solar tile solutions. As a key member of AQUO, a group's executive team, he drives multi-technology expertise on solar, wind, and storage to optimize IPP projects and oversee GEM, a high-performance containerized solar solution. With prior leadership roles in aerospace and energy marketing at Safran Group and Altran, Stéphane has a strong track record in global business development and cutting-edge technology integration. He holds a master's degree in energy conversion from Arts et Métiers and a B2B marketing strategy degree from IEM Lyon. Thank you.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for inviting us at the conference. Just a quick information about SunStyle. SunStyle has been developed now for 15 years. We are the major co-designer and developer for BIPV in the domain of photovoltaic and in the axis of developing aesthetic usage for the solarization of buildings. SunStyle, I developed a genius technology to answer to all the solarization of heritage building, but also big project, architectural projects, and to answer to the, let's say, long-term solarization of building, especially for European. Today's concern that we're going to discuss is about the evolution of BIPV, that we are very concerned with our partnership with Solar Power Europe, with, thanks to AQUO Group. And the way we're going to face to the evolution of technology coming from Asian market, and we will discuss about that also, is about the evolution of regulation concern for our industry, such as carbon footprint, if you compare to classical photovoltaic panels. So we are here today to discuss about that.
Thank you very much. We unfortunately have not managed to have with us Professor Michela Barosio from the Politecnico di Torino, representing European Association of Architectural Education, as she has been excused due to illness today. But we are moving on to with our next speaker, Mr. Dieter Moore, who is in the BIPV business since 2002. So for a very long time, he first as a client's representative, then as a CEO at the BIPV production line. He is known, he's now working with his company Arconsol on the planning of BIPV systems, from initial simulation to site supervision. It will come. We need a microphone for Mr. Dieter Moore.
Is it better here? Yeah, I think this one is working. Okay.
Let's use the other one.
Okay, I use this one. Okay, so half of my time is now over, but Spiros said everything. So yes, I'm in the BIPV business since approximately 20 years. At the beginning, I was also client, so I was able to order BIPV products. Then I worked as a CEO, so I was in the production, and now I went a step back and I'm in the engineering part. So that means I know the whole process in the BIPV business. yeah, and I have no presentation today, so I'm really curious about what we discuss here on the panel. And yeah, happy to be here and hope we can bring BIPV business in Europe a step forward with our discussions.
Thank you very much. And we move on, last but not least, to Jean-Didier Steinakers, if I say it correctly. You can correct, of course. And he's an architect and solar designer who founded Sunsok, designed in 2015 with the objective to create an architectural practice based on the solar function. Working as consultant for major architects and engineers worldwide, Jean-Didier is also creator of his own solar architecture and a lecturer at TU Delft.
Thank you, Spiros. I don't know what to add. You did it perfectly, so I think I will engage you. But yes, I've been involved in that industry for the last 15 years, so a bit less than you. But still, I'm proud that we could hold on this long. So I'm an architect. Our practice and SOC is really based on the study of solar in 4 fields. So the integration is one of those 4 fields. Because landscape is one of them, heritage building is another field, and infrastructures is the 4th one. So I think integration in the building is one of the things that our European industry can do, but we can do a lot more actually. So 15 years ago when we began, I was completely part of the industry. Trying to bridge the gap between the sector that was producing those glazing and the architects. And at that time, if we remember, it was so expensive that only super architects could do so. So my job was to meet star architects, Shih Ruban, Jean Nouvel, and actually, to be honest with you, that was a job that I would have done for free. So that's how we began 15 years ago, and after meeting those architects for 15 years, we observed that there was a need of a service of design and architecture as subcontractors for the architects and engineers.
Thank you very much. And now that we completed this first round of brief introductions, I'm going to ask a first question to Lorenzo. Lorenzo, integrating solar energy technology in the building scheme, merging energy and construction knowledge is an example of interdisciplinarity in architecture. How does solar architecture resonate with the spirit of the new European Bauhaus on which you are working?
All right, thanks. Yeah, so we have mentioned the core values of the NEB already, beautiful, sustainable, and together. And it's basically a no-brainer to really see the match between the core features of IPV and the values of the NEB. So there is a big potential there for collaboration for both parts, I think. And of course, if we talk about the sustainable pillar, it's about renewable energies and reducing also the operational carbon for buildings, both for new construction and retrofitting. And with NEB, we're especially looking at circularity as well. So looking at these technologies that can be demounted and can be, you know, re-put in the system after usage. And of course, we're looking also at regenerative approaches. So at these projects that can bring to the system more than what they take. For what regards aesthetics, there's a great match there for the possibilities that IPV has for blending seamlessly with architecture and heritage, for sure. And for what regards the inclusion part and accessibility, as the market improves its uptake and as the technology gets more popular, of course, we can have more competitive prices and better uptake. So, said that, you mentioned the interdisciplinarity, which is also a great value for the NEB. And it's not only about the interdisciplinarity that is required to install or design the solutions, but it's also about what can we do ourselves, the people sitting here and sitting in the audience, to stimulate the mainstreaming of IPV technologies. And interdisciplinarity is probably a key element. So bringing together the policy, research and innovation, the professionals, the education sector, so that no gap is left behind, and we can all together push this forward. So that would be my reply probably. Thanks.
Thank you. I think we will move on with Claire now. So Claire, you work with Solar Power Europe. I think everyone in this room knows Solar Power Europe by now. So it's a strong actor in Brussels promoting the use of solar. So BIPV, understood as PV construction materials, is mainly related with the construction industry. In your experience, what are the key advantages of BIPV to establish a competitive value chain in the EU?
Yeah, thank you very much for the question. I think, well, it has been, mentioned quite a few times, but with the EPBD, it really makes solar an essential building component. So we have clear synergies there, and that's a great, opportunity for solar, but also especially for BIPV to be adopted in a really cost-effective manner with new buildings, but also with renovations, because BIPV really aligns with a lot of EU policies and initiatives, be it the new European Bauhaus, but the renovation wave, but also Repower EU to have more green electricity generation. Another really advantage is the aesthetic aspects and the customization of BIPV products, and the fact that you can put PV on a lot more surfaces than you can with standard PV. So BIPV are really unique products that meet a lot of different needs in the PV sector. And I think.
Thank you. I think we will move on with Stéphane. So Stéphane, from your industry point of view, how is the industry's leadership planning its next moves on solar architecture materials? What challenges and which opportunities do you see for BIPV in the coming period?
Thank you for the question. The BIPV first is investing and focusing a lot on innovation and align with all the certification that depends on every European country, even more countries. This is the first concern, that it's a key priority for industry leaders to work together and adapt, let's say, a combined certification and to let's say homogeneous certification regulation toward Europe. Because as of today, we invest for each country a lot of certification, regulation, adaptation. Example, in France, we have to pass by to the CSTB certification plus the photovoltaic certification, European one. And you have to be focused also on the current governmental carbon footprint that is different to the European one. And plus, in terms of French industrialization also. So this is a big concern. So first of all, you have to address a unique characteristic and benefit for BIPV. It's a strong project that we know that you have 200 different products toward Europe in BIPV with different certification, different way of producing the product. We are facing also against the Chinese market and the Asian market that they are developing very low cost product. That there is no barrier about that because of the let's say, organized regulation in Europe. So this is the first key to address to the industrial leaders. The second challenge is about the carbon footprint. Because we are a dual material, let's say, roofing material plus photovoltaic materials, we have to address the two way of carbon footprint regulation. And this is a big concern. as you know, that in France, for example, we have a FISHPEP that is managing all the carbon footprint for construction, and that is different to photovoltaic carbon footprint calculation. Therefore, we have to address this concern that we are penalized for that. We are high-cost product, high-qualified product compared to photovoltaic panels, and we have sometimes a concern because of the carbon footprint. So we have to work also on that matters. So the opportunity is to leverage this challenge and to drive a business that is mainly driven by renovation and construction. When it is to renovation, you have a room of business because we can erase the cost of roofing because we are dual materials, and you are also bringing the target of Europe to have a sustainability. So you can also together develop a very big project.
Thank you very much for these very interesting elements, especially the elements on dual needs for carbon footprint is very interesting and important. Moving on now with Dieter. We're making sure he has a microphone. So you have one of the most relevant experiences, as we mentioned earlier, in the BIPV industry in Europe, and you're delivering hundreds of solar buildings in the EU. So what are the key innovations and the key players to mainstreaming BIPV as a construction material in Europe, in your view?
Yeah, this is a good question. I could speak, I don't know, hours about it, about innovation. But first of all, I think the difference between, or the main topic of innovation is not only having a good idea. If it's innovative, you have to, the market will prove it. So it means you need to run a stable business with your idea, and then it's innovative. And let it explain on one example. We everybody know that the colored PV panels are a big trend at the moment. So not every architect likes this pattern of PV cells and the bluish dark appearance. And in the past, I always say we used really old style technique. So we printed ceramic colors in front of the solar cells and reduced the electric output by, I don't know, 30% or so. And so new things came up, like this interference technologies, and the market proved it. So architects liked it. It was a good reduction in losses, let's say. So this was innovation. And one for the future, new innovation, what we're searching at the moment is all these topics about fire resistant, because we know since 2007 this burning tower 27 in London, everybody's looking on skyscrapers and the behavior of materials, and so we need to find also new solutions, new products which will be according to the norms. So this is related to the innovations and related to the players. Didier already mentioned the architects, and I think we're in Italy, so we should mention also Renzo Piano. I think in all of his projects he's designing with PV, but maybe not all of his clients will choose for PV or BIPV. So I think it's not only a discussion about players, it's a discussion about cooperations. I found out in my past in the projects, because we in my company we offered around, I don't know, 100,000 projects, but we realized only a few thousands, and I always ask myself why we realized that one and not the other one. And it was always, let's say, cooperation between the client who will pay for it, the architect or the engineers who will design it, and the industry who is able to supply it. And so it's not about one player, it's about cooperations, and if all these work together, I think, it's a good future for the BIPV business in Europe or worldwide.
Thank you very much for these thoughts. And moving on with Jean Didier. So you have worked, as we mentioned earlier, as an architect and a consultant in Landmark in new buildings using PV. and as a designer material? And in your view, what are the current trends and the future directions for solar architecture?
I would like to tell you today that there is a groundbreaking new technology that will explode completely that niche market. But that's not true. What I see for the last 15 years is that we've always had prediction that the BIPV market would become so large in the next 3 years, but this never happened. What I see today still is a major change in the behavior of the architects, because a few years ago, typical scale for a BIPV project was perhaps 700 square meters, 100 kilowatt peaks, and today we see quite an upscale in those projects. I see projects of 7,000 square meters, closer of the megawatts, and that's to me very architectural. I don't think that the answer in that niche market should be only technical. And I see very often in some design phases that we jump on questions of efficiency, how can we reach that new color with the less loss as possible. And then I see that in the design from the architects, sometimes we lose 40% just because the facade is not in the good orientation or tilt. So what I see now is that we see with Renzo Piano indeed and others that there is a lesson learned, and when the architects are making their 5th, 6th, 7th project, then you don't see only a new technology but also new details and new systems going on. And to me, it's very, very important that the way that the building embraces that new need for 2050 is not only technical, but that the architects can also draw differently and have new details and new ways to make their architecture for a whole system. What we have seen in our publications is that the one that are the most liked or followed or whatever is always a PV or a BIPV applied or integrated that expresses itself, which means that when you directly can see something totemic in the architecture, something that is not hidden and where PV does not excuse itself to exist, then people understand that, okay, that is a surface that is a captation for the light. And that's something that even a child could understand when he sees something totemic with a certain curved shape or with a facade that is assuming largely with a certain surface. It's a solar options, let's say.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Let's move on with the second question, and I will ask you all to be a little bit briefer if possible, because we're running out of time. Lorenzo, beautiful, sustainable, together is the motto, is the vision of the new European Bauhaus. Solar architecture is much more than energy. So what is the new European Bauhaus team's vision for further development of BIPV solutions in the context of the new European Bauhaus ambition across Europe in the years to come, also perhaps in the context of relevant upcoming projects?
Yes, thanks. So I think that the NEB operates through 3 main directions. One is policy, one is funding, and one is awareness raising. And I think that these 3 instruments are the ones that could also help us to mainstream the IPV technologies further in the future. For what regards policy, we're busy developing tools that can help designers to understand the added value of these new technologies and self-assess the quality of their building projects in relation to the values of the European Bauhaus. So these tools will come up, will be published later in December actually. For what regards funding, in 2025 we'll launch a series of calls for research and innovation in the field of construction and new materials. So that's also a way that the European Commission can use to support this further. And for what regards awareness raising, it's through also events like this or promoting other events directly from our side that we can also reach out for potential clients, investors, and also educate them to, to let them understand the added value of these technologies so that they can also purchase and fund this further. So this educational part, it's also very important, I think. It's about the professionals, the students, but also the investors. So this is also very important, I think.
Thank you very much. And now, the second question for you, Claire. So, as mentioned earlier also by Mr. Garcia-Audi, the Commission is going to publish different guidelines on the PBD, and this includes some guidance for solar photovoltaics, but then there is also going to be guidance on BIPV specifically, and innovative PV forms in the spring of 2025. So, which are the main barriers currently hindering an increased uptake of BIPV in your opinion? And how could we tackle those? Perhaps also to feed into the guidelines of the Commission.
Yeah, sure. So we'll be really expecting these guidelines. But so one of the major challenges that was also mentioned by Stefan is the certification and environmental footprint calculations, because those are very complex and expensive processes, and they're different in each member state. So yeah, we really need an harmonization at the European level for the certification processes and unifying the testing procedures at European level. Another challenge is linked to permitting for integrated PV. So it's a rather complex permitting process, and local authorities have very limited guidance from national authorities on what to do and how to handle the permitting processes of IPV projects. So hopefully the guidance will help on this aspect. Another, let's say, challenge is the skills challenge. So generally, PV installers do not have, let's say, building envelope skills, and inversely, roofers or facade builders don't have electrical skills. So we would really need BIPV specific trainings and ideally certification at European level. And just to stay on skills and maybe knowledge, so yes, in BIPV you have a lot of different stakeholders that are involved in the process, and we really need to raise awareness and help them improve their knowledge about BIPV. It's the case for local authorities, but also for investors or architects and so on. So, yeah.
Thank you so much for this. And I think this mention to skills gives us a very good transition to the next question I was going to ask you. Stefan, so what role can the BIPV industry play, in your opinion, in the collaboration between architects, engineers, construction SMEs, policymakers to improve upskilling rates and deliver on the renovation wave ambition in Repower EU?
I like sharing the microphone. Actually, those actors are our prescriptors. So it means that we have first to educate those people, make trainings, so the BIPV industry has to increase specialized program to architects, engineers, SMEs, and to better understand BIPV applications and technical advantages. This is the first. So a big campaign that we do, but not enough, to be honest. We don't have access to all architects. You have to invest a lot of communication. Engineering bureaus, construction companies. So we have first, those people has to be aware about the technology, what are M4. Secondly, that's linked to that. And I like when Jean Didier said in the previous conference that a building is a solar machine. We need to do, again, about big communication, the advantage and the benefits of BIPV. We are in Florence here. There are years and years, even millionaires of those buildings have been built, and they're still here. When you renovate or design a new building, it's for long term. So I don't want to focus on very low cost on standard photovoltaic panels, but we are renovating a building that is high value. Maybe there is a potential materials that urban policymakers and planners has to invest on it to create value for long term. And even for facade, even because we're thinking about, let's say, IPP models, that solar has to bring efficiency and value and economics for at short term. When you deal to BIPV, we are dealing about construction material for long term, and with performance also. So this is an investment with value creation. The third, I think, key driver is pushing for mandatory BIPV integration in renovation. So in pause, when it deals to renovation, there are several markets. If we do a surimpose market, it's for already built building that they don't need any renovation. You install photovoltaic. When it is to invest to renovation, you have a plethora of construction material for BIPV that you can do it. The last thing is, let's say, collaborating with all the BIPV potential industrials for main, let's say, market to address with the same, again, rules and certification. There is also a way to communicate with several institutions that Merkin certification and to be clear again about carbon footprint.
Thank you very, very much for all these elements. And moving on, I wanted to ask you, Dieter, what, in your opinion, would be perhaps a key role to support training in the BIPV market? So, in your approach, what are the main priorities to advance BIPV forward?
So Christmas is coming, so I have one wish free. So it's maybe I could make the long story short, and also Pierluigi said it before. So we should foster the industry, we should scale up, and from my perspective, the main, and everybody said it before, it's education. So we need to educate the whole stakeholder, all stakeholders, even the municipalities or the local governments, because sometimes when you go through Europe and you go to the federal states, you see, for example, in Germany, different states, they say, if you have a parking space bigger than 30 cars, you need to make a canopy with PV. In other states, it's totally different. So nobody really knows what is going on all over Europe. And one example from my side in Vienna, for example, in a special district, you have to install 17.5 kilowatt hours per square meter PV, and you have to declare it. So it means architects normally can't calculate it. They know the radiation on the building, but not what will be the output of the PV. So all these stakeholders need to be educated, from the engineers, architects, to the industry, and also the clients. For example, real estate companies, if they never worked with PV or BIPV, they have no clue about what I tell them. So I think it's really the key, education, and maybe we can speak later on and agree on some topics. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And the last question from my end, and then we will have the chance to give the floor to you in the audience. But Jean Didier, how can we further include BIPV, not just in new structures, but also in renovation projects, in your opinion? And what is your message for new generations of architects and perhaps of other professionals in the value chain?
I think that we all know that renovation, refurbishment is the real question. It's 99% of the problem. New buildings that we can see on publications is perhaps 1% of the answer, but what we want to know is how we update the city that we have today for 2050. Of course, it's not always iconic buildings and UNESCO protected buildings, but still, I want to express that we were so astonished those last 2 years of the quantity of protected heritage buildings that we have received on our table. And to me, there is like a message into this, because those very old buildings, UNESCO buildings, are taking that new path, perhaps further than the buildings from the 80s and 90s and beginning of 20. So what we discussed in March this year with UNESCO was how to make those historic and heritage buildings make that turn. And I think there has been a key point with probably, I think, the Poste de Louvre from Dominique Perrault in Paris, who was the very first architect to really take that poker game of making an integration in a very, very well-known and central and heritage building in Paris. Today, we see some buildings from the first revolution, industrial revolution, from coal and the train, linked to the third revolution. And what I would say to the architects, the young designers today, is how lucky they are. How lucky to be in Europe as a designer, as an architect today, because I think that turning point that we are taking today of really bringing those energies, redesigning it, and reinventing functions, reinventing our lives, is really something that I see Europe doing faster than the others. And I think that the third industrial revolution that we are experiencing today will also take part in Europe, as we were central of the world in Renaissance and very central for the first revolution also. So to me, there is really something fundamental in changing our way of living that integrates completely solar aspects, because I think there is not only some techniques to apply on buildings, but there is, we are functionalist architects, and there is a new function to be done, and we are still discussing and working with Supsi and Pierluigi on that notion of solar function as, a functionalism architecture.
Thank you so much for this very grounded but also very optimistic message. And now we have the chance for you to address some questions to our panelists. Feel free to raise your hand, and Giulio is equipped with 2 microphones, I see, so this is going to be very, very efficient, so don't be shy. Who would like to go first?
Yes, hello. Thank you all. Do you hear me? Okay, perfect. Thank you to all of you. My name is Bassel Glor. I am working at Soltec. It's a manufacturer of BIPV in Belgium. There is a subject that has been raised by Stefan and Claire, which is very much important. It is indeed about the certification and all those processes that are really making things much more difficult. So I don't know if this question should be delivered to you or to Mr. Odi, who isn't there anymore. Those certifications that are required are very much complicated, but more than that, they are not adapted always to the BIPV. Like for the IEC, for instance, it's much more adapted for the traditional PV more than the BIPV. And people don't really understand that, and it makes things much more complicated. Where are we at this stage? Can you please explain to us how is the development? Are we going forward? What is the timeline that we can expect with those certifications? Thank you.
Thank you. I don't know if Mr. Audi is still with us, because maybe he's still connected. No, we don't have him. So feel free to choose who would like to answer.
I don't know if I will have the full answer. I can give you our experience at Sunstyle. We have a most stringent certification in Europe, is a CSTB, that costs you every 3 years a minimum of 100,000 and 50,000 euros. just for the test, and then you have to adapt that for the TURV certification. And we are in France for the fire Bureau T3 certification for the fire resistance. When it goes to Spain, it's a T1. When it goes to UK, it's another one, etc. Each time it's money, and you have to re-certify this every year. Sometimes not. So the concern today is if you want to address the market, either you invest a lot of money and you be sure that you're going to be the leader in the market, or you securize your project in 1 or 2 countries. As of today, there are some discussion with different countries to adapt. It's just paperwork with a minimum test, such as lucky us when we did the CSTB, we have paperwork in Greece, in Croatia. Spain was just for the fire, but we don't have any homogeneous project, and at the moment, I don't know. To be honest, there is no clear, let's say, line for that. So this is my point of view.
Thank you. Yes, clear, and then Peter would like to add something.
Yeah, so there are a lot of EU-funded projects also working on trying to harmonize the standards, like seamless or increase, but it's also a lot of lobbying in a way on the part of the BIPV and the PV sectors to ask the Commission or member states to really harmonize those processes.
So if I'm not mistaken, SunStyle is only one size of a PV panel. Yeah, so it's much easier than the classical BIPV, which changes every day. So it's really a big problem how to handle it. But I think there is in the task 15, Luigi, maybe you can there is something ongoing how to handle this. Because when we consider where are these certifications coming from, for example, the electric ones, it's from the PV business, but we are in the construction business. For sure, we should be sure that nothing will happen if a contact is loose and nobody gets harmed and so on, and that the material is stable, for sure. But I think if you change a panel from 1 meter to 1.5 meter, what happens? So if from an electric point of view, if it's fine, why should you recertify it for 50 or 100,000 euro? So I think this is a big challenge to handle it. But it needs to be done because at the moment it's a gray zone, I would say, in a lot of BIPV projects.
There's a key point that you mentioned, that why we don't develop too many products because of that. We have one size for SunStyle because it happens that it's a good product, but investing a lot of design increase a lot of the money and the budget for development and R&D. So this is a concern, and this is also a barrier to develop new technology. That asking Jean Didier, we have a lot of discussion with Jean Didier about new project. When we ask with architect new curves or new system for integration, there is a first concern, so how I'm going to sell it to other clients, because if you invest for one project, it doesn't make sense. It's too expensive. So you need a certification globally to and simplify. It doesn't mean to increase the risk, but to work on the certification process.
Thank you, everyone, for this very interesting. We could talk for hours, I think, but maybe let's take a second question from the audience. Who would like to go next? Microphone is coming.
Okay. Hello, are you hearing me?
We can hear you, yes.
Okay, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. I'm last year in my PhD study, I'm working on semi-transparent OPV for agrivoltaic application. I just want to know what is the future perspective of semi-transparent OPV in the market regarding the agrivoltaic and energy sustainability. Can you just give, are you hearing me?
Yes, perhaps you could speak a bit closer to the microphone, because I'm not sure. And perhaps who would you like to answer your question from our speakers?
Okay. I think my question is that what is the future perspective of semi-transparent OPV modules for agrivoltaic application? Like currently you are working, I mean the current marketplace of the PV on agrivoltaics. So what is your feeling in future regarding the OPV?
Who would like to give it a go? Thank you.
I can't speak for OPV, but I worked with several techniques of semi-transparent PV in the architectural business. But honestly, I would say you can't cheat the physics. You can't have a transparent window which generates energy as much as you like. So it's always a trade-off, and I can speak only for the architectural business. It's really difficult to convince clients, customers to invest in a very expensive panel which generates only, let's say, a little output. So for me, this really transparent, and I don't say semi-transparent, techniques are not really applicable in the future. But I don't know how it is in agrivoltaics. This was maybe your question, if I understand it right.
And if I may complete, I know that we often explain that architectural PV and BIPV were not a matter of return on investment. But to be completely, fully honest, the tenders that we receive, the plans, the projects that we receive on our table, they very often, quite all the time, have the same triangle in the demand from the buyer, from the client. They want to have the latest Chinese efficiency. They want to have the price of a Chinese product, and they want something super customized and, if possible, semi-transparent. That's our reality, and that's always what we have to deal with some clients. So, yeah, I think there is a market for all kinds of products and applications, but at the end of the day, we are still struggling to explain to the facade world that triangle, that they will not have those pricing and performances in the same product.
And if I may add something, transparency is a very technical concern when it is to roofing, because I take my, let's say, role of ACCUO with the IPP project that we are doing, dual PV with the transparency. It's an outdoor solar system that condensation doesn't bring too many concerns. When it is to roofing, you are inside a house when you have to deal with the condensation. And having transparency, you want to have light, but you have something that retain the condensation. So there is also concern about outside these needs of transparency, how we're going to manage the condensation within the glass and the PV system.
Thank you. I think we have time for one more question, perhaps. Who would like to go? Okay. Go, Pierluigi.
Yeah, I have the microphone, so I'm doing question and reply.
We don't hear you.
No, I'm joking. I just wanted to add briefly a point on the topic of normative and standardization. I agree with the highlights. I just wanted also to remark, as Claire mentioned, that there are different European projects working on the topic of developing specific BIPV-related testing and qualification procedures. Seamless PV, of course, but also increase and MC 2.0 or mass IPV. We have also in the room some of the coordinators of these projects. So this is something ongoing and also started many years ago, I would say. In parallel, there is also a normative group within Technical Committee 82. I'm also involved in this working group, so it's under revision, what we call the BIPV standard in Europe, which is the EN 55A3. This is the current standard on building integrated photovoltaics. And in this revision, some key aspects are highlighted to remark that this technology is a construction product and not a conventional and standardized module. So this is a key aspect to highlight I would say, the technology that most of the specialized producers are developing and are investing for qualifying and for having a proper quality for these multifunctional products. Last but not least, at international level, also International Energy Agency with Task 15, we have the operating agent also here, is working on this topic. So standardization, I would say, is a topic not only under the table, but under solution, I would say, for most of these issues. Of course, we are trying to cover what we call the last kilometer, but I would say that this is not now the huge barrier. Maybe it's something that needs to be optimized in terms of techniques, costs, and for having a competitive market implementation of the products. But yeah, I think we have here the leaders of all these topics, so we are much advanced in this asset for competitive European products. I don't know if any questions, still, if we have still a few minutes. Otherwise,
any last questions? Okay, I think we can conclude here, and I think our experts deserve a warm round of applause. Thank you very much.
Good, so we can come back with the next session, so we can also try to stay on time with the agenda, and I welcome again you to this second part of the morning, and in particular to the keynote speech. And I have to say that I'm really happy to have on the stage Mario Cucinella Architects, and I think they don't need a presentation, and in particular to have Lori Zillante, who is the R&D manager of the office, and she's a building engineer and architect with different expertise, especially around sustainability and all the ecosystem around environmental analysis for the project. She also has a specific expertise on 3D printing technology applied to architecture, and also the studio has very interesting projects with this technology. She's also among the founders and the main authors of the School of Sustainability. This is a key activity of the office, also in the direction of training and education of a young generation of architects. This is fully in line with one of the topics that we discussed just some time ago. And she is actually leading the research and development unit of the office with a clear vision of adding a value to the project thanks to this exploration and interdisciplinarity approach. So in order to ensure the real environmental and socioeconomic quality and sustainability of the project. I'm really so glad to invite Lori on the stage and to let her having this great presentation for us. Thanks again, Lori, and the stage is yours.
Thank you, Pierluigi, for the introduction and also for inviting me today to this important conference. And today I will try to deliver a brief presentation on evolving relationship between sustainability and beauty through different projects that MCA developed during this year, and also emphasize the relation between the project, the design, and the energy production system. Before to get into the heart of this speech, I will briefly introduce MCA and our values. So, following the increasing complexity of our practice, we are now different people and expertise inside the office. We are computational designer, researcher, model maker, so up to more than 100 people. And we are following the architectural part of the project, but also we are very interested on the research. And of course, the office are briefly founded in Paris in 1992 and now has its office in Milan and Bologna. So as a practice, we strongly believe in the impact of the architecture in the people well-being. So for this reason, we use research as a starting point of our approach. And the design phase starts from the one main concept that is related to creative empathy. It's a concept coined by the architect Cucinella himself years ago, and is important because when we start a project, there is every time things that cannot be explained, and this is the creativity. But for us, it's important that creativity has to be guided by empathy, because otherwise the answer is to be only extravagance. So for the reason when we start a new project, we always study the climate, the user's demand, the context, because we are aware of the importance of this aspect in influencing not only the environmental aspect, but also the people well-being. So design sustainability for us is design from every angle, so environmental sustainability, social, and also economical one. So we are facing a new challenge for architecture, and we think that this can be a very important, a huge opportunity for architects to rethink the way how we design the contemporary city, and also an opportunity to redefine a new idea of beauty for our time. So this is the heart of our values, but however we are facing the challenges that are not only technological, but are also cultural challenges. Because the construction sector, we know that is one of the most energy intensive sector, but the emerging countries are increasing their use of fossil fuel instead of reduce it. So the goals and the target are becoming more and more ambitious. So we need, our sector need to take action for sure. And talking about building, what we, in the last few years, we are focusing more and more on the operational phase of the building. For sure is an important part, as you can see here in this graph of the interior life cycle of an example office building. But the challenge, that is the cultural one, that is in our mind, in our hand, is the taking consideration also that the two first stage and also the end of life, so the production of material, the construction phase, may largely depend on our design choice. So this is the point that we have to focus to find a right solution, and then understand how to relate our design with the new technology. So from one side, we have to contribute to the decarbonization of the sector, but from another side, we are talking about booming sector due to the growth population in some place of the world. So the question is how we can face this growth. And in our reality, the R&D unit tried to find a solution to fill this gap, if you can say. So from one side is a unit that in which Mario, the architect Cucinella, invests and believes since the beginning of the, since the beginning of the firm, because it's aware of about the added values that can bring to the project. So from one side, one activity is more related to about applied research on emerging trends, so new technology, new solution, innovation, also in terms of material. But from another end, there is every time a data-driven approach. So the second activity is more related to environmental design to support the project and to support the project in different stages through software simulation. So this from the concept phase, also with different scale of the project. Now I will move to show you some project. I will tell like a kind of journey in different places and also in different years of our practice. And just to make you understand the relation between the design, the technological system, and the tools that are changing during this year. The first project is a result of an international competition in Parramatta. It's a city just outside Sydney. It's a competition made by in 2013, so not in 10 years, more than 10 years ago, but it's a retail and office building, but is an emblematic example of our integrated approach. And the towers are among one of the first projects in which MCA decided to abandon the energy paradigm to design a building that produces energy instead of direct heat. So this is the main point, and the first issue was also related to the topic of transparency. When we think about a skyscraper, every time we come to our mind the idea that a huge tower made by only transparency, all glass, and so this also was our the challenge of the project. So the Infinity Tower presents itself like a dynamic element, and before to focus in the detail of the facade, we decided to, the main point was designed to optimize the shape. In fact, the shape is made by two cones with an elliptic plan then turning into circle on top of the building due to the possibility to optimize the exposure surface instead compared to a rectangular or other kind of building. So from one side this, and of course the particularity is that the two towers rise up like an ancient, if you can say, celebratory columns that can be a landmark of new ecological modernity. So this was the main point. Then the key concept, of course, is the facade. This is the treatment of the facade peaks that looks like pixelated module that generate the whole building, and the interaction of the facade with the surrounding, and in particular with light. And this concept and this inspiration comes from also cultural inspiration. This is the Aboriginal Australian art. So from one side there is a really huge focus on the environmental aspect, climate of the place where we build and design our building, and the other side is social sustainability, so the relation with the culture, with the people. And this is the image of the two towers, and the opaque and transparent tiles combined together generate the whole facade building, and they give us also the opportunity to create a colorful mosaic of texture in which the photovoltaic cells are not a simple applied product, but is a really compositional material. And this is the huge important part of the project. So thanks to the variation of the pixel, we can optimize the light inside, the solar gain, all these aspects. Focusing more in detail on the facade, we have three types of tiles that generate the whole two buildings. There are the energy cell, so to produce and the energy that the building needs. The opaque one that help us to shade some space inside the building for sure, and the transparent light to permit the light to penetrate the indoor space. And another important aspect of this particular shape of the building is due to also give us the possibility to avoid dark area inside the building and also increasing the performance. This is another image where we can see also the relation with the surrounding. When we design skyscraper and high-rise building, one of the main topics is related to how we can dialogue with the surrounding, with the urban space. So one of the other points that we try to focusing was where the first 15 meters of the building, where we design a huge window to the square to give the possibility to this space to become a really main destination for citizens. As you can see in this section, the first 50 meters are higher than the other floor plan to really understand and give to the project the right scale of this place. So this is one more in detail picture where there is also this canopy made by the same pixel of the facade that is a shading device in this case, and give also is a link between the external existing space and the indoor space of the building. So it became a sort of buffer zone of the building. Moving through another place, and also here, we are in Algeria. This is also a result of international competition. This is the Post and Telecommunication Authority headquarters. We know that Algeria is a Mediterranean city facing the sea, so with the long summer that due to the climate change are becoming more longer, and also with mild winter with high values of relative humidity. So the main challenge in this was how to control the light, the heat in the building. So we starting since the beginning to study the context. So first of all, we take inspiration from the desert landscape, where the dunes appears like a natural building shaped by wind and sand. And from another hand, talking about the bioclimatic principle, this is an example of Turad that with its aerodynamic shape can control and natural cool this kind of space. So the result was a really aerodynamic shape, convex on the north side to try to redirect the wind, the very hot wind that comes from the desert in this direction, and also to provide a way to minimize, reduce, and the problem due to the sandstorm in this, that comes also from this direction. In the other way, the south side of the facade is concave that allow to optimize the cold breeze during the night and also to passive cool the building. So, and then this building is a sort of dune shell, because we have this kind of shell that cover all the internal space like a mashrabiyah, no? That is something very common in Islamic tradition. So there is every time a bit link between modernity and tradition. The geometrical generation of this shape, because also this, when we think about the project, we say, okay, this is the first idea, that is the sketch that we do during the creativity of the project, but then we have to realize and make them buildable, if we can say. So the building blends tradition and modernity, and starting with the shape that comes from the pointed arch of the Mediterranean architecture from one side, and also the cutting is very related to the sun path of this latitude and place. So also in this building, the relation between architecture and technology is very important, because all the south facade of this building consists of a series of photovoltaic panels that not only produce energy inside the building, but help us to shade all the space in the huge atrium. And because we have here the conference hall, some office, so have this important aspect. And also, thanks to the presence of this canon lumiere, so the light channel in between of the building, we can permit to the winter sun to come inside and also have the natural light in the opposite side, in a filtered way. But So this is an image of the main atrium where the light comes from the opposite side, so the diffuse light of this space on the north side of the building. And this is another tool that we use during the design phase. So the real scale model is an important tool, so not only software, because we are architects and we have to work with them every time. So this is an important value, and since the beginning, so 30 years ago, the architect worked with scale model, and now in the office we have also a space with 3 people that work on model, and so this is an important part of our work. And in this case was particularly important to study the relation between the shell and this light channel that come from the south facade to the north part of the building. This is then the transposition inside the software, so to understand really the relation of the indoor space and how this kind of element work inside the building. This is an image of the main entrance with also the huge canopy that helps to protect from wind, from sand, also this particular place of the building. And this is the last image at the end as a result of our design. Moving through also another place, so we are in Ferrara, so a small city in the center of Italy, and this was the headquarters for the Regional Agency for Prevention, Environment and Energy. So the request from the client was to create a sort of manifesto of their work. So it's an office building, for sure, and the concept in this case comes from a very strong inspiration told in the book of the architect Mario Cucinella, The Future is a Journey to the Past, that told the story of 10 journeys made by the architect itself in the different places of the world to discover the vernacular architecture and to understand the lesson from the past for our future. And in particular, the shape of the project is evocative of the wind chimney of the Hyderabad. Of course, we are not in Pakistan, we are just outside the city of Ferrara, but the different climate conditions between the 2 main seasons are very strong. So we have an hot and humid summer and a very cold and damp winter. So the main effective strategies in this kind of climate is the natural ventilation. So this is the link between the 2 architectures, the climate condition. So our building, the roofing of our building consists on 112 chimneys that works for different reasons. So from one side, control the light penetration inside the building because it's an office, so needs particular light condition inside. Then improve the natural ventilation for sure as a starting point, but also produce energy for the whole building. And so we study a lot also the bioclimatic machine that we create with this building. So during summer, the passive cooling strategies is achieved due to the natural ventilation of the building. This is thanks also to the airflow that start from the different temperature inside the chimney, and also thanks to the presence of the internal courtyard that improved this work, and the operable window also automatically opening on top of the chimneys. During winter, work in an opposite way, so become a really greenhouse that stores the heat useful for the heating demand of the building. And the particular shape of this chimney is a result also of the study to optimize the orientation due to light penetration from one side, and also optimize and maximize the production of energy. So this is one of the first hybrid public building in Italy. This is also an image of the ground floor of the is more permeable, this ground floor, because it's possible also to use cross ventilation if it's necessary, but at the same time is shaded by the overhanging roof. So every time it's control the presence of glass surface, transparent surface for the different climate conditions. This is an image of the entire building during day, and this is also the contrast between the two materials that looks like there's a cloud, this building, and it's interesting because it's also more related to the very in connection with the context, with the particular surrounding that we have in this building. This is another focus where we can see the part of the chimneys that are where we place the PV panel and other that we use for light penetration. So was a really difficult work and also an opportunity for us. In the research, for the research point of view, also for this project we study, we have done an environmental simulation, not with software, as we can say now, we can do now every day, but with a model scale, thanks also to the collaboration with the Polytechnic University of Turin. So before to construct the building, we really test the possibility to have the best light inside. And this is an image of the internal courtyard that is play an important role inside the building, because during the summer, thanks to the trees, this space is shaded, so it's different microclimate. It's a different microclimate, so it's important. And during the winter, thanks to this space, it's possible to have also sunlight that penetrates inside the building. And this is also an image during night, and it's very interesting, this building. Small building, but was really great to design and construct it. Now the journey is coming to the last year. This is, of course, a different scale of project. Is the Unipol headquarters in the modern context of Porta Nuova in Milan, and this also each element of this building contributes to the creation really an efficient machine. And this is a tower of 120 meters, so it's not so small, and it's just finished. The first topic for sure was the orientation of this building. Why? Because we are in already strongly built environment and context, so the question was how to manage the shape of this building, to optimize the performance, to maximize the winter sun exposure. And also, in fact, I remember that in this first stage of the design of the tower, one point was also understand the impact of our building in the other small building that we have in the surrounding. We have done a lot of environmental analysis to try to reduce the impact of our building. And at the end, so the shape is to fit inside the context, and also maximize due to the elliptic shape, the performance of the building. So before to think, our approach every time is the same. Also, if the technology is evolving, the tools are evolving, but before to start think about the active system inside the building, we think about how to create a form that perform. So this is the really challenge for our work. So all the office, then in the later stage of design, we decide to put all the office in the northern side of the building to have for sure the best quality view to the park, and also to have to maximize the diffuse light. That is the best one for the office building. Then we use the south, we decide to have an empty space on south side of the building, but that become really an energy opportunity for this kind of towers. So this was the first step. This is an image of a few months ago, and if you are thinking about the cutting on the top of the tower, so you say, why this kind of, it's not for sure an aesthetical decision, but it's due to the urban planning constraint. So this inclination is due to the urban planning constraint, but we decide to use it like an opportunity, because this is also the best inclination for the PV panel, and so for the production of energy. So we say, okay, it's perfect for us. We don't know, we don't want to do a planar rooftop, but we will use this constraint like an opportunity for the building. So this is the main part of the building. It is not the office, but the atrium. Is a 75-meter high atrium that works like a bioclimatic device inside the building. In summer, it's enhanced the natural ventilation. For sure, the dual skin facade reduce the overheating of this space and the circulation. So the atrium, thanks to the also small opening on top, enhance the natural ventilation without reducing of course, cooling electricity. And during winter, works in an opposite way. So it's a greenhouse, and thanks to the combination also of dual skin facade, that is a dynamic element for the different season, store the heat that come from the south. No? So this is also an important part of this building, to reduce the energy consumption before to understand how to produce the energy that we need. And this is an image of the construction phase, to understand also the scale of this project that is not so easy to understand. It was also a construction, challenge for us. And this is, in this picture, is the atrium, and you can see how this place become also a buffer zone for the light for the office space that are in the other direction, but also an opportunity to have different kind of view from the office space. This is the image where we can see the roof of the building, and in this part, the top of the building is crowned by a botanic garden that become also a greenhouse. This is the image, is almost finished. This was before the finish of the conclusion of the work. But on top of the roof, there are different plates that can be open and closed in the different season. And also during summer that can be open. And on top there are PV panel. Also we can maximize the production and the orientation of this element. So, and during winter, this is a place where we store it. So every time the dual combination of strategies, of passive strategies, every time also to have a comfortable place for people. And we change the tool here. It's not like Ferrara, so we manage all the design process with building information modeling to have all the information that come from structural engineering and other expertise inside only one model. So the evolution of the tools, but not the approach. The approach since the very beginning is every time the same. Take care about the climate, the place where we are building something or design something, the people that have to live there. So this is this is the challenge. No, it's not, as I mentioned before, it's not only an environmental challenge that we are facing now in this year, but also cultural challenge. We have to, this is the very transition also, and this is important for the architect to understand that we have no more drawing something that it's beautiful, but we have to understand what is the new paradigm of beauty. This is a beauty that maybe is different, for sure is different from the past, but is really related to the condition, the context, the social context, and this is our approach, and I hope I was clear and the intention. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lori. I don't have to add nothing if not thanking you again. I guess the bond between beauty and architecture was really clear, and your vision and your commitment are inspiring for all of us. Thanks again for your speech, and I can hand over to the next session.
Thanks for this inspirational presentation. Now we are going to have a session more focused on the upstream part of the value chain. So we will be talking about challenges, but also potential solutions for industrial actors of the BIPV sector. And before inviting the panelists to the stage, I will give in the next 8 to 10 minutes short presentations where I will highlight some key facts and figures so that we have a common understanding of the situation, and I hope that these facts and figures will lead to a fruitful discussion. So, well, first of all, for those who don't know me, my name is Philippe Massé. I'm from the Becquerel Institute, which is a strategy consulting company established in Brussels, and we also have offices in France and in Spain. We are also involved in applied research projects, which is why we are here today. We are involved in the Seamless PV project, which is organizing this event. So if you have any question on BIPV, but also on PV, do not hesitate to reach out. I'm sure we can help you. Okay, so when I was mentioning facts and figures about BIPV, I specifically had in mind these 4 aspects. So first, obviously, competitiveness. I think it's important to give a positive note. We've heard a lot today about already challenges that are faced by the BIPV sector. There are some left, but we can say that it's already competitive, and I will demonstrate that. Then I will be speaking about the situation on the market. I will be speaking about the situation of the industry. And then to jump into the topic of the discussion, I will give a few insights about the challenges that are still faced, but also the opportunities that lay ahead. In terms of competitiveness, so here you see 2 graphs showing the situation for 2 types of BIPV solutions. Roof for residential houses and facades for multifamily houses. And you can see a lot of green, important typo, important precision, but a lot of green indeed, because these solutions are already competitive. So what do I mean by competitive? So economically attractive. You can opt for these active solutions, and the extra cost that you may expect compared to a non-active solution, this extra cost will be paid off by the energy produced. It's the case for these residential roofs, but also for the residential facades in many situations. So there are certainly reasons to be optimistic. although we'll see after that there are still some points to be improved, but that's an important fact to have in mind. It's already attractive. On the market side, this is no secret for anyone. We have been involved in this industry for quite some time. It's been kind of a roller coaster in the last decade. We've seen up and downs in Europe with a lot of differences between countries, especially in the western part, where we had some developments of the BIPV sector and then some crashed. But we can see here on the graph on the left that for the last 5 years, we have quite a positive trend, and the BIPV market is growing again. And you can see on the right the main countries contributing to this growth. Obviously, we know about the French market. Here it's mainly explained by what we call simplified BIPV. We can also highlight the great performances of Austria or Switzerland, mainly helped by specific support schemes. And in the short term, while we expect a small dip in 2024, but also in 2025 compared to the exceptional year of 2023, well, we should maintain this positive trajectory. So there are many reasons to be optimistic. And in terms of country contribution, well, it's the same usual suspects. I was mentioning Switzerland, which should be one of the main or the main contributors by the end of the analyzed period. France should still be around, Austria as well. We see also Germany. It's good to have them in the top 4, although considering the massive PV market they have, we are talking about 15 gigawatt and more, it's quite an underperformance. This is explained by different aspects, including norms and standards that are quite restrictive in this country. But still, they should contribute to this growth. In terms of industry, so that's also why we are here. We know that in spite of these difficulties, it's quite dynamic. We have many BIPV actors in Europe. I think we can say that we have been and we are still leaders in this field, although other countries are really working hard to catch up. So we should pay attention. But yeah, we have many actors active in the BIPV field in Europe, in all countries, as you can see on the map. So this is also a reason to be quite optimistic. Finally, to feed the discussion that we are going to have with the panelists, here I summarized some of the key problems we know already about in the industry and that we should try to mitigate. First, it's been mentioned already, a lot of differences across these European countries. Some are recognizing BIPV as specific systems, others are not. They are simply considering it as a usual rooftop PV system. And also, even within some countries, we see differences per region. So this is one key problem. We should work to have some organized and consistent definitions and guidelines across country. Another key problem we have heard also about today is the normative part. We know that to launch a BIPV product, you have to go through tests that are linked to their construction aspects. You have to go through tests for their PV aspects. And even between countries, sometimes you see differences in terms of certification testing on measuring materials. So it adds cost, it adds difficulties, and it's preventing the market to grow and also the actors of the industry to grow. So this is something that we will be discussing today as well. But on the industrial side, there are also notes to be positive. Again, we heard earlier this morning that there are initiatives to push PV in buildings, which should benefit as well BIPV. There are also industrial strategies. Here I highlight the possible impact of the Net Zero Industry Act, which is really focusing on pushing and creating a protected market for local actors. This could result in up to 30 gigawatt per year of protected market for PV, which should also benefit BIPV sector, especially as we see here on the graph that the announced or existing and announced production capacities in Europe are not enough to cover this potential protected market. So there are many, many opportunities ahead for industrial actors in PV and in BIPV, of course. There are really some some opportunities to grasp. And here I will finish with a small graph. It will be available in a report that we are going to publish in the frame of the seamless PV, but it shows you the size of the market potential for BIPV. We are not talking about hundreds of square kilometers of facades and roofs. We are really talking about thousands of them, and they are just there, ready to be activated with BIPV for some of them. So it's really a reason to be optimistic. Thank you. Keep these figures in mind. Now, before starting the discussion, I'm inviting Lara from PV Magazine. She will give a short message, and she will introduce our panelists who will come to the stage to give some presentations. Thank you.
Thank you, Philippe. Thank you, Philip. Very, very, very interesting. I'm Lara Morandotti, journalist of PV Magazine. PV Magazine is one of the most important and famous magazine focused on photovoltaics sector. And so we are proud to be here. And thanks ETA Florence for this invitation and for organizing this very interesting sector. We can really confirm as a specialized media that integrated photovoltaics is a really hot topic in photovoltaic sector, and on which there are a lot of doubts, and there is a need to know and to learn more. So let's give voice to those who can bring their valuable contribution and clarify important aspects. We'll have on the stage 3 speakers. They are going to show the interesting presentation. Then at the end, there is a question and a Q&A moment. So if during the presentation you realize to have some question, please note it and then you can ask later. So we thank the first speaker, and I have the honor to invite on the stage Kai Buntrok, CEO of Autark. And for 20 years, Kai has been actively driving and supporting entrepreneurial change in the energy and financial sector. As an experienced bridge builder between tradition and modernity, he habitually questions the status quo and combines his extensive international experience with a strong instincts for market and technology developments. So, we are proud to have on the stage Kai Buntrok. Thank you.
So good to see you all. I was told to get close to the mic. Can I be heard in the back as well? And understood? Wonderful. So it's a shame that next door there's another session happening, because I think they're really missing out on what we all have to offer right now. Lucky you guys. So Autark. Who's Autark and what do we do? Building integrated photovoltaics as a game changer, that's something that we, I guess, can all agree on already. And we have heard ample argument in favor of it. One is aesthetics. So a question to the audience, which of these roofs has solar integrated? Just shout it out. You see how many? You see 3? Show of hands. You see 4? Show of hands. You see 2? Show of hands. You see 1? Show of hands. Okay, it's actually 3. The second from the bottom there in the middle, that's an Autark technology realized building integrated PV. Autark's been around for quite a while, 12 years in the making, founded back in 2012 by Cornelius Paul, who cannot be with us here in Florence today, but he sends his regards. We've done 1,000 projects plus over the last couple of years in 6 European countries, and we're happy to have received a couple of awards Not rewards, sadly, but awards. Just for me to understand the audience, raise of hands, who's an engineer? Raise of hands, who's an architect? Raise of hands, who's considering himself, herself as a building industry representative? Okay, we're missing out of those. That's something we need to do better in the future then. I'm gonna put in a bit of eye candy in between, and you see these roofs. There's actually 4 BIPV roofs hidden in this one here as well. I won't ask you how many you see. The black ones are actually the renovated roofs with autark technology. What do we do different, and what do I feel we as a BIPV industry should discuss? We are reversing the logic. And what do we mean by that? Today, that is a critical argument right now. It feels like we're looking as a BIPV industry to speak in a comparison an internal combustion engine into an electric car. What autark does, autark is building an electric car from scratch. So while a lot of the industry is still on hybrids, we are fully on a bespoke electric architecture. Why is that? And I leave some room for Q&A later on, so I won't give away too much, and those of you who are interested can have a look in the presentation later, engage with that outside, or have a look on our website. So this again is a heritage building. It's needless to say that this is an awesome solution from the aesthetics, but I was talking about the electrical architecture, and that is what I and we feel is overlooked. We've heard earlier on that we need a training initiative for trades and craftsmanship that, as of today, has no electrical backbone. I beg to differ, and I disagree, because it is made for failure. We will not see the growth. We will not see the adoption of BIPV in Europe and across the world if we are waiting for a traditional trade like roofers to become electricians on top of what they do best, i.e. a roof. So what we set out to do as autark is to say, okay, what does the building industry need in order to have a building material that happens to generate power through photovoltaics? So when you think of autark, you think of a building material with a transparent PV function. And what do we mean by transparent? Nobody, not a single stakeholder in the value chain, should consider specifics of solar, because it's not their job and not their sphere. Neither architects, planners, roofers should worry about PV. That's something that we as an industry have to worry about and take care of. Take the complexity out of the product and make it a building block that can be used in a mass market setup just as any other building material. That's what we feel. That's what it looks like in a heritage building in the center of Freiburg, Germany, one of the hardest places to actually realize BIPV. And this is what we do, and that's what we feel is the electric architecture that is needed for BIPV. We operate in a parallel circuit. That means we do away with all power electronics in the building envelope, on the roof or the facade. Why is that important? It is a maintenance nightmare. Talk to anyone. It'll take you 15 years and then you have failure rates of X%. So what do? You start rebuilding. You need to get to this power electronic device and you need to change it. That's the one element. The second element is maintenance. The technology that we have devised is in its single form factor exchangeable as a single unit without need to touch any adjacent unit. That is extremely important when you're talking about a building material that is supposed to be on a roof for 40 to 50 years and do its job to keep you safe from weather, be it rain, hail, sun, etc. The electric generation is just a nice on top. So in order to do that, and this is a nice example of what can be done in a form factor that you see. I see some of you taking pictures. I'm sure we will have the presentations available later on. If you want it, just leave your details out front. We will send it, or visit our website. Everything available, high-resolution pictures, whatever you need and wish. So we feel what we as a BIPV industry need to be is a vertically fully integrated set and solution provider. So we go from electrical over the module to the connector, and that's what Autark does. We do not build a tile. We partner with the tile industry. Autark is the Gore-Tex or the Intel of building integrated PV. We provide leading BIPV technology to building material providers, be it roof or facade, for them to have the leading technology integrated in their existing material in order to go for mass market application. That's what it looked like. The single largest installation in Germany, we're very proud of that. That again is a protected site. It's a monastery in Würzburg. 16,000 plus solar roof tiles on a single asset. That's what can be done. Enough from my side. I hope I kind of teased a bit. I lay the ground for a fruitful and intense discussion with my peers, and look forward to which results we come later together, because that's I think is key. We are in this together. We can achieve this only together. I talked earlier on to colleagues of ours. There's between 70 million and 100 million roofs that need to be renovated across Europe. It's not going to be done with one technology. It's not going to be done through one partner. It's going to be done through an industry, and we have to get our act together as BIPV and have a bespoke electric setup and not try to remain in hybrid. That is it from me.
Thank you, Kai. During his speech, I keep thinking, sounds like a plan. So, okay, thank you. Thank you so much. So, go on, and I invite on the stage Markus Bachmann, CTO of 3Has, Swiss Solar Solution, working in the PV industry since 2006 with ingots, wafers, cells and modules, nowadays developing and producing BIPV. So, thank you, Markus.
Yeah, welcome here to this nice and wonderful place and wonderful city. As also Kai already mentioned, solar can be beautiful, right? And we from 3S are definitely agreeing to that notion that we say solar is beautiful. So who is 3S? 3S, Swiss Solar Solutions, our company was founded in 2001, so we are quite an old player in that industry. We are focusing on BIPV and are mainly doing a business-to-business model. So we are approaching installers, building companies, all these people that know how buildings work, how buildings are integrated and set up. And we are an independent company, privately owned, and we have 2 manufacturing sites in Switzerland in the also wonderful canton of Bern, and all our modules are produced in our local manufacturing plants. So one concept when we want to bring new technologies, innovative technologies into traditional conservative industries like the building industry, we need to make it very easy and adaptable. And this follows our system concept. So first, we start with the life cycle, with the planning. We start with our software tool that you select the address, you select wind and snow situations, you get the plan, you get the drawings, you get all your load plannings, electrical wiring, and you can start really easy in 1 hour to have your roof customized. The other thing is for the installers, our system is easy to understand. We have a training center, we educate the people to make sure that they really understand how all the system elements work, and we are able then to deploy that solution. And one of our advantages is because we are delivering our products into high salary countries, right? So material cost is one topic, but the other topic is the installation cost, the hourly rates of all these companies. So really we must be able to move up such a building very fast. But it's not stopping then. We talk about a life cycle, right? Also afterwards, for the maintenance, we are not just monitoring the systems We are a PV producer since 2001, so we really understand how PV modules work. I think we can really say that for 3S. And we are comparing customer objects against the digital twin, and we can see if these objects behave properly, and we have the possibility not just monitoring the success, but we can also compare and check if there are deviations or specialties in this object. I was asked for that speech, it's a possibility to show some of your objects. Yes, I do. Right? So we have nowadays more than 20,000 installations already, with majority in Switzerland, but a lot in Germany and Austria. We have some in Luxembourg and other countries. And we are just running through some of these, that you see the possibilities, what is currently possible with existing BIPV systems. Because you all know these special roof shapes. Normally, on-roof systems gives terrible solutions. You can go in colors for heritage-protected buildings. You can do walls, facades, even for old, not so nice buildings. It gives them a second life. We can do balcony facades. Also here, retrofitting buildings, this like a hotel. It gives a new life for that building, like a second generation. All these color technologies are possible, and even more. That's just a selection, different appearance, different colors, and then you can avoid that everything looks black. This was said in the morning. We don't want to have all black buildings in our cities. That would be terrible. Oh, talking about black. Black can be nice when you put it up to the mountains. So we have solutions for the wind, for harsh conditions, but also you can do very simple implementations where you say, okay, it should just integrate in a traditional roof, right? So all these things are possible. If you have special requirements for reflections, surfaces, right? Because especially mountain areas, you have glazing, you have sun reflection. You can have that, you can see that here, reflection is eliminated with special type of modules. You can do simple facades in colors, they integrate nicely with traditional stone walls and the typical building colors, and you can do that with high snow loads for a lot of different applications. And the big important thing is all these buildings that you have seen here, they are just coming from one single system concept. We at 3S, we simply love systems. So we are following for all these designs a structure of putting that together from a set of elements, like you're building up your Lego toys, your Lego buildings, put that together, and then it will work, and there is still a high level of customization possible, as you have seen, but still the structure elements, how it's put together, this is following a system concept. And why we do that? Systems, they allow to deliver consistent quality, defined certifications, because we all know certifications are a nightmare in BIPV. So if you can do everything, what about your certifications? What about your fire tests? Also the installers, they learn the system once, they can install many different buildings. And because we are doing the same, we are reliable for the lifetime, and it's possible to have a spare part service afterwards if there are problems, changes, because if you fall back to the same systems, you can replace the products. And my message for this is, also for that premium, so we can combine the past and the future. Already today, there is no need to wait for new or more BIPV. Just do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Markus. And if you ask me personally, the building with the integrated photovoltaics, I think are more cool, no? Looks better, yeah. So, go on, it's time to invite on the stage Werther Cambarau, Senior Researcher and Head of PV Modules Research Group as part of the PV System Platform in Tecnalia. He is currently the responsible of the indoor characterization and lab testing activity, focused on the reliability and durability of PV modules. Thank you, Werther.
Thank you very much, Lara, for introducing me. First of all, I would like to thank especially Giulio, Florence, and all the people that participate for the organization of this event. Really interesting. And then let me tell you that I'm really excited to be here among leaders in the BIPV, real leaders, Kai, Marcus, excellent presentations, very inspiring. And hopefully the technology that I will present you today will be industrialized by a company that will be a future leader, hopefully. Okay, so today's presentation topic is the industrialization of a novel lightweight PV technology. Okay, so first just let me tell you something about Tecnalia, my institution that I represent here today. Tecnalia is the largest private applied research center in Spain. It's also part of the European the member of the Basque Research and Technology Alliance. The headquarters of Tecnalia are in the Basque Country, but we also have branches in the rest of Spain and abroad. I'm not sure the list is complete, but anyway. And so mainly within the value chain, Tecnalia is focused on the applied research, but of course also we have strict collaboration with university and other research center, more towards basic research, but we are more devoted to developing technological things with companies, and so not only offering research and development projects, but also services and business opportunities. So in different sectors. Regarding PV sectors, our activities focused on module technology, energy conversion and management, and O&M. We have different facilities, especially labs for characterization, manufacturing, and also outdoor and real condition testing. Okay, so what I will present today is the solar phase technology that is in this technology developed by Tecnalia. And this simplest concept is just solar matrix, let's say solar cells interconnected, embedding composite, and this composite material acts both as the encapsulant and the protective sheet. I have to say that among other projects that were cited today, the Seamless PV project is contributing to the industrialization and development of this technology. So a little bit of history, because the concept was early in 2011, and after many years development, a lot of problems, opportunities, finally it culminated with the establishment of Ispitec Solar, which is a startup manufacturer company for the PV solution based on this technology. And this was also thanks to industrial partners like Branca, which is expert in manufacturing of composite, and is also part of the Seamless project. So the purpose of Ispitec products is basically, or at least the idea is to filling the gap that the conventional technology cannot offer in integrating photovoltaics. So offering different advantages or features, if you say, like design flexibility in terms of design, so the lightweight of the panels, the possibility to play with aesthetics, and also in integrability, so facilitate the installation of the panels depending on the base elements. And the fact that this monolithic product also is an important feature, and the performance of this panel is comparable with standard PV panels. So among the markets of the company, there is BIPV, but also urban furnitures and sustainable mobility. So there is not exactly a panel that represents this technology. More, there are different solutions. So for solar tiles or lightweight modules that can be like applied for glass facade, but also panels which are really elements, like in the urban furnitures, like canopies or street light in this example, but also being integrated in parts like in vehicles, like these rooftops. Okay, of course there are a lot of challenges, but also opportunity for this technology. We know about growing needs on efficiency, the ESG issues, the safety requirements, of course, that for this kind of material, for this technology are really strict, so it's really tough. But also general challenge like architectural consideration, public acceptance, as many colleagues say before. And the added value in this case of solar phase, I just simplify in these 3 points. So in integration, not perceiving as an add-on, more rather like an intrinsic part of the proposal. But also the possibility to play with geometry, panels that may be semi-flexible or applied in rigid substrates, so very adaptable. And of course the lightweight that allow for easy installation and a low structural requirement. Just to finish, I would like to show you, probably I have to choose a newer picture of the industrial plant, which is located in Güeñes, in the north of Spain, with a total area of 2,500 square meters. They will start in the production in January, and the capacity is estimated in 160,000 square meters per year of PV panels, which is around 25 megawatts per year. And that's all from my side. I think I made it in the 8 minutes, I hope. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Werther. And now we will proceed to the panel discussion with all our experts. And then will be the time for Q&A. So we invite you to take advantage of this moment and ask questions to our speakers. But now is the moment of our panel discussion.
All right. Okay. Yes, it works. We wanted to come forward to have it more like a lively discussion, right? Feels like we are too far away from you guys when we are standing behind this beautiful but a bit massive white desk. So we'll dedicate the next 15 to 20 minutes to a short panel discussion, and then we will open the Q&A to the public. And as a first question, I would like to hear you guys about these challenges I was mentioning. Do you have any comment about these, or would you like to highlight another one, just so that we are fully pessimistic and before talking about the solutions? Who wants to start?
Yes. Don't be shy.
I know you have things to say, Marcus.
Yeah, challenges. I think everybody knows that, right? We still have the problem with the norms and standards. That is a really big showstopper, and also that they're not unified. We are currently just preparing a fire test, which is accepted for 3 countries, and it is just a nightmare because the same test has different interpretations. So here, the unification EU is really a nightmare. The second thing what we see is permits, especially for facades. For roof it's much better, but facades is still very difficult for the project owner just to make it, to do it, to get the permission is so difficult, right? I think these are one of the two biggest issues that we currently see.
Oh. Test, yeah. Money. We want to scale, and we've seen it. Capacities of 25 megawatts. Sorry to say, but in China, nobody would even get out of bed for 25 megawatts. And this is my greatest challenge to the financial sector, which is, anyone from the financial sector in today? See, that's what I mean. And the criticism is not the financial sector, I think, and I'm not getting philosophical, and it probably lies in the hearts of all of us. We are so short-sighted. And in our investment decisions, especially in the Western-oriented industries and countries, we have a very, very, very short-term view. How do I scale an industry today niche to something leading that makes sense? I provide it with a long-term vision and view, and I provide the resources under that condition, and not under the condition of quarterly results. So the greatest challenge we have is our frickin' short-termism.
Said true. It's like that. It's like that. What Marcus says about the test is something that we are experimenting now. Whenever you introduce a new product, you have to do everything to grant the certifies and whatever. And this is very difficult because the tests are really difficult to pass. So this at least is the big challenge for a new product that want to enter in the market. And yeah.
Yeah, thanks. And maybe we can keep with you, Werther. I know you are now scaling the factory, or at least
at least participating in the process.
Scaling to 25 megawatt. Okay, yeah. That's scaling still. That's the start. What are the other challenges you face in that process?
Yeah, actually, there are a bunch of challenges. So I would split, for example, challenge from the lab point of view, or let's say that one that starts in the lab phases. So, for example, related to the process, related to the materials, and also equipment. Because, for example, the process, everything works perfect in the lab. And in small scale, everything is fantastic. Like, look at the perovskite that works fantastic in small centimeter square, but then whenever you upscaling, the efficiency is dramatically low. So this part is very important. So to be able to develop a process that is reliable whenever you upscale, and it also repeatable, of course. And regarding the materials, you have to find providers which are reliable also. High quality of the material, especially for the solar cells, which is the most important part in this case. And yeah, also I mentioned before the equipment, because in your line you can buy standard equipment, but probably they are not the one that you need in the case, because your technology is different. Your panel, for example, are flexible, so they cannot stand with their own weight. So you have to think about a system to characterize them, do the test in a different way. So it's not easy to find this equipment. And then, of course, there are also challenges related to the fab. So, for example, protecting the intellectual property, especially at the beginning, is very important. The environmental issues, to reducing the waste of material, and yeah.
Thanks. Still on scaling, and I would like to come back to what you said. We need to be more ambitious. We need more scale. So it means, are you ready for that? Are you ready to scale up? And wouldn't be an issue to sell all those tiles, because we've seen the market is not big enough. So yeah, and maybe still on that, We have seen, well, I've shown something about the Net Zero Industry Act, which may help for that. Do you expect anything from it?
How many questions were there? No, that was more than that. What stuck with me is scaling and can we sell it? I mean, we don't sell what we don't sell. It's as easy as that. And the awareness building is the one thing. And if is there public and municipal partners present, stakeholders? We need beacon projects. We need the public sector to actually move, show what's possible, and provide example. And that will drive broader adoption. So can we sell it? Yes, of course we can. It's just it's not meant as yes we can, but we're ready. We at Autark, for example, we applied for the latest EU Innovation Fund call because we want to scale. And surprise, surprise, we are not in the first round because we didn't have the 100 million euros sitting ready on the desk in order to proceed. So could we scale? Yes, we could. Could we sell it? Definitely.
Okay. Marcus, are you the same opinion?
Sort of. I think first for the Net Zero Act, to come to that point, it's definitely a good thing because then the public buildings, they need to make a move, right? Because there is right now very often a contradiction that on the one hand we have governmental organizations which said, oh, we should promote BIPV, we should blah, 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 blah. But when they then write out their tender, everything what they said before is hidden or deleted, not in these documents anymore. So I think this is giving definitely a boost. For the scalability, I agree. I mean, we for example, we scaled up already from the market demand. We shipped this year, probably this year is not so strong as the years before, as we have seen on the slides, but we are still shipping this year roughly 35 to 40 megawatt of BIPV. And technically, it's much easier to scale up, but the downstream, training of the installers, having the network to all because it's a very regional market, that is, the development of that network is much faster, much slower than you can actually ramp up a line. Ramping up the line is work, but it's pretty straightforward, yeah.
Thanks. And talking about production, we see a lot of technical changes, technical innovations coming from China. We have seen a lot of changes in terms of wafer size, number of bus bars, cell technologies. How do you cope with that? Is it an issue, and should we also think about doing this here to have more control, or can you handle it?
You know the answer. We can handle it. I said it earlier on. You need to vertically integrate, i.e., you need to understand what you do at each single stage of your critical process. And that's why we design and control the manufacturing of all components. The miniaturized module, if you want to have a look, it's a 78 cell module on a miniature form factor. Why do we do that? Electrical architecture. We design and control production of the connectors. We design and control the production of the wire harness, parallel circuit, etc. It's not on the market as it is there. So do we need to be here? No, but we make ourselves agnostic as to the elements that we need, cell, glass, backsheet, what have you, in order to, because what is even more important, we have to follow the step changes in PV. And we will remain a niche if we do everything special. So what we do is we use the standard product, we make it manageable to our use case, and in order to do so, we build the knowledge and the capacity to make that product out of it. And that's why we don't want to train the roofers, we don't want to build those tiles, we focus on what we do best, BIPV for building materials, and therefore, yes, we could handle it.
Yeah, true. And perhaps, of course, we have to stay informed of all the change of the trends and whatever. But I think we have probably to focus more on other aspects, like the quality of the panels that you want to offer. So quality, other things which are not related definitely with the last technology in cells, but to say, okay, I have a product. Even if it's not the G12R last fancy size of cells, I have a product which can give you the security that is working very well, and even if it's not exactly the last technology.
Yeah, I slightly disagree on that one, because there is a big danger. I think the incredible change that is always coming from China every year when you get new products, new sizes, new technologies, it's a great push also for us to incorporate that, because there is a big danger. I agree that the quality in BIPV, you have to focus on the quality, but if you are not adapting to the newest technologies, your supply chain will dry out and you will get only the materials from third tier, fourth tier companies where the quality is very questionable. We see that now. BIPV, you can still buy nowadays from manufacturers BIPV modules with 2 busbar solar cells. These cells have been manufactured 10 years ago. They were sitting in some warehouse in China and now shipped here, and then there is a company selling that to the poor project owner, right? And this is not our understanding of quality, so we try to get the best materials, but you cannot optimize everything. For example, you cannot optimize module efficiency in BIPV, right? Because our customers, they tell us, whatever you do, do not change the size. That means module efficiency, for example, we can never optimize it. We always have to leave room that in 3 years our glass size is still the same. That gives some technical drawbacks, but what we put in is always the latest technology.
I see it can be an issue.
Good point.
You want to react? No.
No, it
can be an issue cost-wise. Also, I guess it can prevent you, if you stick to older technologies, it can prevent you to benefit from the ongoing decrease of prices. I don't know if you see these prices decrease of prices as an opportunity or a threat for your own system, your own solutions.
I think it's the same like with the technology change, right? It's an opportunity because we get more for less money from the incoming side. On the other hand, the competition, it becomes easier and easier to throw standard-sized topics against the walls and on the roofs, right? So that means we are under pressure from that side. I think it's somehow in the middle. I think you cannot really say it's either of really. It's somehow in the middle. Yeah.
I think it's comparing apples to pears. We would compare a Ferrari, Lamborghini, sometimes a Bugatti to a Fiat. Sorry, I'm not in for that game. So when we have a customer base that approaches and it's like, okay, it's fine, but what kind of technology do you use? Does your car amortize? So you're driving an Audi, you're driving whatever, it could be a Dacia. Why are you driving an Audi? So the comparison is not the price of a standard mass market product, because today we still remain in a niche that is more comparable to Ferrari, Lamborghini, or even a handmade Bugatti. So it has an influence, but honestly, we need to find, there's this normal deviation that we have in social science and all the other elements. It's like you have the innovators and the early adopters. You have to win those people over, and you have to find them and spend your time, especially with the crafts people as well, with those people who want to change, who want to move, who want to drive change. Once you reach the first parts of an early majority, the whole system starts to shift. So we tend not to waste our time on early majorities and late majorities and the laggards, because they will follow anyhow. If we don't achieve the win over of the innovators and early adopters, we're doomed anyhow. And they don't look for price, sorry to say.
And how do you reach out to them, to these other type of customers? Should we change the way we sell BIPV, or you sell BIPV?
I'm happy to receive wisdom. We're just trying to sift it out. I have constant discussions with our agencies, because what we do, we narrow the funnel to an extreme. So at the end, we have a 40% success rate in those people that we qualify. This is extremely high, but why is it that high? Because we sift out all those who go for price. It's good that you go for price, but you're not my customer. So if you want to go for change, if you want to go for a long-term perspective, because your system is going to overcompensate those initial cost premiums over the lifespan, then let's talk. If you're in for the best price, sorry to say, move elsewhere.
Do you want to add something to that, Marcus?
Yeah. It's very true to find the early adopters and promote the BIPV systems, but also we have in some areas in Switzerland, because we are already very long in the market, already a situation that these installations are replicating themselves. Means in one street you need one early adopter, and then you have 3 or 4 jealous neighbors that want to have the same, and then it becomes like a standard, right? This is what we see in some areas. We have not managed that for Germany and for Europe, but there are some areas where we're very strong in Switzerland, where really the whole village is, even sometimes competitor is winning in a roof, right? But suddenly you can see the people see that, oh, like every third roof is BIPV. And then nobody is thinking about traditional materials, right? So you need the early adopters in that street, and then you have to wait for the neighbor who also wants to have that. And I think that is the way how to make the grow, but it's painfully slow.
Okay, I think we are approaching the end of the session, and we would like to give the floor to the audience. Before giving it to the audience, would you guys like to add something? I know we discussed earlier, I don't know if you have still one wish that you would like to, and one thing that you would like to say to the decision makers that could be here, or policy makers that could be here or will hear us.
Be brave and long-term. Have a strategic approach that follows a mission. And if you are a policymaker and happen to be interested in hear that, do push for mission-oriented political agencies that are not limited to election terms, but actually are allowed to form, structure, and support a transformative process, rather over decades than over a couple of years or months.
You guys would like to add something? Yeah. The whole programs of bringing PV back to Europe, they are sometimes missing a little bit the pain points of the industry, right? And I think this is also a point. There is a lot of initiative for R&D and funding and so on. But on the other hand, on the competitive side, you can still see that we currently have no ingot and wafer production in Europe. And every time you want to set it up, you will come to the point that the power cost is too expensive and the planning time of the factories is too long to ever start a competitive product. So this is a very simple pain point, but all the initiatives that we have for bringing PV back to Europe, not any of them is addressing that point. And if you would just add that somewhere, say here the others are like 10 square kilometer of industrial ground, I give you the power at 6 cents per kilowatt hour, you don't need to do anything. After 2 years there will be ingot wafer factory. And you have to throw out all the companies that want to build there, right? So sometimes the easy things, they're not seen, and instead of we make very complex schemes, and they miss the root cause.
Yeah, probably this is the wish, to have policies that prioritize the, let's say, the production, manufacturing of domestic manufacturing in PV.
Thank you. So I hear you, long-term simplicity and policies to sustain the local manufacturers. Any reaction in the public? Any question, remark? I'd rather have questions than remarks.
Too many.
Well, thanks, everyone. So what is the main barrier hindering the market adoption? And if you could choose a BIPV barrier to overcome, and only one, what would it be? Would it be having a 100 euro per square meter product? Would it be having a harmonized and super clear standardization framework in Europe, a very supportive regulatory framework, educating the construction sector at a glance or in 1 second? What would you choose to really make? You can only choose one, huh? Yeah, the third one? So, supporting... No, Sorry? Okay.
I would stay with the framework, but on a different approach than you mentioned. The people, we have frameworks, maybe not the best ones, but the people are not even sticking at them. We see objects where we send all the necessary documents and paperwork to build that according to the European standards. And as a local authority says no. And you're like, guys, this is European national law. They say, no, not in our city. Right? I would prefer if the people stick to existing frameworks. That would already start.
Yeah, probably, if I can add something. That also the awareness that not only architect, but also building owner are aware of the advantage of BIPV. That will be, if we overcome this barrier, probably will be easier.
Are there other questions from the audience? Wow.
Thank you so much. Heinz Ossenbrink from the European Commission's Joint Research Center. I heard this word of early adopters. In face of at least 30 years of efforts in building integration PV, has anybody of you, and best guess, how many people actually care how their building looks like?
I can tell you, 91% of our customers have as their main reasoning for BIPV aesthetics. People care.
I will be maybe the advocate of the devil, but there is a selection bias in your sample, right? No, I think, and that's what we are also working on as part of the research project or as part of our consulting missions. There are people who care about aesthetics more than anything else. These are the ones we should target, but it's not the majority. But it's big enough to have a viable business and a viable BIPV sector in Europe. That's the thing, I don't think I did mention it. A BIPV is not meant to overtake and compete with BAPV. Like it's not the same fight. Huh? There will be people who are more focused on cost, and there is a minor, can be a big minority, but minor, like, I don't know, 20-25% of people who would like to install PV on their roof care more about aesthetics or local production than cost. So it's a minority, but it's big enough. And among them, there are early adopters and others, but yeah, so big enough.
Thank you. I just wanted to say a couple of words because you mentioned earlier that not a lot of people from construction sector are here, and it's true. So as one of them who are here, I wanted to share a couple of thoughts. So first, on the question of do people care about aesthetics, I think I resonate a lot with the significant minority idea. Not everyone cares, but there are people who care, and these people care that, especially that not everything looks the same. So this is, and that they have options about how their buildings are going to look. So this is, I think, existing and important. And then I just wanted to say that I like a lot what you said earlier, Kai, about the fact that the BIPV should be a product that the roofers that know their traditional trade don't have to worry about. And this is also something that we hear a lot from people who are already active, perhaps also in installing rooftop PV, but people who are already knowledgeable about BIPV, that we don't need to worry about certain things, but for now it is the case that they still do. And this is something that we need to phase out if we want to mainstream this. If we want to be only in niche projects or very, which is already very good, huh? It's, if you do impressive new buildings, and this is great, but if you want it to be part of the renovation process that is going to take place in Europe, maybe slowly, but it is picking up and it will pick up. It's very important to make it worry-free for the construction people. And then you said something else which is also very important, and I was wondering if you can share a couple of thoughts more on this, is that, and also maybe the other speakers of course, is that it's long term. And this is very, very important for the construction sector, because here we're not talking about an element that you add to a building and you can remove later. It's part of the building. It is the building. And so this is extremely important in construction, and it's a philosophy that is embedded in the law that is governing construction products, which is the Construction Products Regulation, which, to give you an example, is changing like after 15 years now, and it's not expected to change for the next 15 years again. So construction products need to be durable, and they are durable now. And the question that you can hear from the artisan fixing the roof is like, if I put it there, can I not worry about it? Or will the customer complain if in a few years there are issues? Because it is the building, it's not something you added. And if you need to repair, if you need to adjust, if you need to do changes, what happens then? Thank you.
I think that's core to our philosophy, what you just mentioned. And that's what we're sometimes asked, why the heck are you using a standard clay roof tile? Because it's a standard dimensioned building product with a clear life expectancy, and what is even more important, if all goes pear-shaped and our talk is no longer in 10 years' time, you can use any existing system tile that was used in order to carry that system, which comes at a price point of 2, maybe 3 euros. And it will fit, and it will perform the most important duty, keep the house dry, and shield it from the extremes. So this is extremely important, and we, for example, we reacted that we provide a 25-year product guarantee. And again, this is nothing that we front to the end customer or to the roofers. That's why we opted to go through the multi-stage building industry supply chain. This is the back guarantee that we provide to the tile manufacturer. Because key of this is that the roofer, the building material traders, they don't deal with us. They deal with their existing party, the tile manufacturer. And they provide the guarantees they need. And we just stand behind in order to support that. And I think that is key. Interchangeability, so you don't have an extra that you need to do away with in the future should things go pear-shaped. A very long product guarantee, not a performance, but a product guarantee. And those are elements that should be respected in the existing supply chain if we go mainstream/mass market.
Maybe a small customer journey which reflects a little bit of time constraints in that industry, right? Very typically, one of our account managers was very successful when the owner of the roof company rejected our product, going to the son or the daughter and get the first object in the first year. And then they want to see if it survives the winter in Switzerland with the snow load and all that stuff. And in the second year, they believe that it survives, and then they start planning and thinking for other objects. Just in the third year, they're really doing business. This is a very typical thing what we can see all the time, right? You always have to wait like 1 year for the first object before they really they trust it with all that. And then, because they see, oh, it's easy, it survives, and then it starts this adaptation. But it's also not a very fast industry.
Any other question from the audience?
Thank you. I'm from the National Research Council of Italy. Since we are, when we talk about building integrated photovoltaics, we're facing many different technologies, okay? So I had a question related to standardization. So if eventually we come up with the technical standards, okay, like for every broadly installed technologies at the service of humanity, okay? where are we when we talk about photovoltaics integrated in buildings? Do you see technical standards to be sooner or later established as threats for innovation, or are technical standards guides? And the other thing I had in mind was, up to now, Western countries were the leaders in establishing technical standards, okay? In setting up the committee to define the standards. Will there be a taking over by China also on standards? How do you feel that kind of things?
Marcus can add much deeper detail there, but China is long defining PV standards. Sorry, the days that Europe was leading in that aspect are long gone. In quality, in innovation, in new adoption, China is the force to reckon with. Full stop. Are they threatening? Not to the extent that Marcus mentioned and that I said, that you make yourself adaptable to that and always provide the newest / state-of-the-art technology within your product. And that is a must. I fully agree with Marcus on that. And therefore, I don't see those standards as threatening. They're rule of the game. And we should get our act together in order to keep up with it.
Yeah, I mean, there are nowadays PV standards, but before they are in the vote, they are drafted only in Chinese language already, because there is in this consortium creating not any international player anymore, right? So, and it's even happening for BIPV standards, right? And it's the same. Test institutes are also moving out of Europe, reducing their test capacity. Means the people that can test the norms and standards are also starting to leave and ship the products to China for the testing. This is also happening today already, right? So this is simply a fact. I think we can cope with that one, but the bigger issue with the norms and standards, what I currently see is that they are not aligned. They are okay as guidelines and so on, but they are conflicting with each other. And sometimes when the people tell me, oh, soon we will have a special BIPV standard, I would say, oh, I hope that we then have to fulfill only the BIPV standard, but not also the building and BIPV and PV, and maybe some additional local fire standard. That would be nice if we at least say, okay, that's only then one left and not 2 or 3 on top of each other, right? Because then the operational freedom is restricted, right? And then it's not helping as a guideline. Because it's like you're at the road and you have left and right, both leads to the airport, you don't know which way you should drive. Yeah. That makes it then difficult.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. So very interesting topics, very inspirational speakers. Now it's the time for the lunch. After lunch, in the main room will be a session of agrivoltaic topic, and in another room, in Italian, a section of industrial PV, BIPV. So thank you for being with us, and see you later. Thank you all.
Good. Thanks to you guys.